Welcome to the Dr. Maria Show. It's September 12th, 2024, and I'd like to wish my older sister happy birthday. Well, yesterday being September 11th, I was privileged and honored to accompany Mayor Rudy Giuliani to the 9/11 ceremony. And for those of you who have never seen it on TV or experienced it, it is an incredible ceremony. The only time they haven't had it in these past 23 years is during COVID. Mayor de Blasio canceled it, but Tunnel to Towers came to the rescue and had one of their own. But this is the traditional one down near Ground Zero, and literally all the names are read. So you can imagine it takes hours and hours. What they try to do is have a relative of the person or a friend of the person say the name. So it's an extra meaning. I noticed today a lot of young people were saying a name, and you knew they weren't alive at the time, but it was their grandfather or their great-grandfather or grandmother or aunt, and they would still be very emotional even though they never met them, because that family member, having been murdered by terrorism, is still a big void in their family, even to the young new generation that never met them. So it's very poignant. It's really beautiful. Every year, the dignitaries come out. So today, when I think of the front row, it was Gillibrand from New York, Schumer, Harris, Vice President Harris, President Biden, former Mayor Bloomberg, and then President Donald Trump, Vice President candidate J.D. Vance, Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York and mayor when 9/11 occurred, and then little old me, Ryan. And I accompanied the mayor as his, not just his business partner and friend, I think more as his doctor, and making sure he's okay. He had announced basically today on Newsmax about his 9/11 lung disease, and he gets very short of breath. So I keep an eye on him, and he did have to sit a few times during the ceremony, which, by the way, a man of his stature, of his bravado, and how much respect he has for all the victims and their families, it's hard for him to take a seat, because I know what he fears, that it's disrespectful, but he couldn't help it. And when he'd catch his breath, he'd stand right back up again. But it's really, really beautiful ceremony. I don't think Biden stayed very long because we were in a straight line. It's not like I saw him a lot. I was paying attention to the people saying the names. But I think, it seemed to me he stayed 5 or 10 minutes. And I know everybody commented how frail he looked. President Trump did shake Kamala Harris's hand. As you know, they had their debate a few nights ago. I don't know how you feel about the debate. I thought the president could have been more specific. There's so much he could have said that the Biden-Harris administration did to fail us, the American people. But I kept thinking it's almost like he thought everybody already knows. Why rehash it when everybody doesn't know? We have a huge uneducated electorate, and that's because of the propaganda from the left-wing media. When you look at that debate in the ABC's, I forget the woman's name, Leslie, I think, but David Muir, they wanted to get Trump. They fact check him, and they don't fact check him correctly, and they argue with him. And David Muir said, you falsely claimed there was fraud in the election. Bull crap. Millions of people believe that. There was hundreds and hundreds of witnesses who risked everything to come forward and talk about it. Those poll watchers, Republican poll watchers in Pennsylvania, who were denied to look at the ballots. They're supposed to. It's supposed to be a Democrat and a Republican by their state law be able to observe those ballots, and they were kicked out. Even when Corey Lewandowski went to court in 2020, the judge said, of course, the Republicans need to observe the ballots. The people on site, the sheriff wouldn't let them in. So there was a lot of fraud. Let's just face it. I do encourage everybody to watch Kill Chain. Kill Chain was a documentary made in approximately 2016, maybe 2017. And it was this really huge IT guru. He's very well respected in the field. And he brought all these hackers into Las Vegas. And he said, okay, here's the whatever, 4 or 5 companies we use in America for our voting system. Let's see if you can get into them. What do you think? 100% of them got hacked. It's funny how the tides change. In that documentary, you have 4 Democrat senators, 2, Amy Klobuchar and Bernie Sanders, expressed extreme concern with our voting machines and the vulnerabilities with it. In fact, they wrote letters to committees. They didn't speak up at all in 2020 saying, yes, we are aware of some vulnerabilities and this is what we're going to do in the future to secure our elections. They stayed silent, which I think is a travesty of justice. But anyways, I don't think ABC was fair to President Trump. I think he could have been crisper. Certainly, almost all Americans, however you vote, were negatively impacted by the Biden-Harris administration. So I thought he could do a little bit better. I knew Kamala was going to be well rehearsed and she would have her sound bites in her speeches. I had no doubt of that. But the moderators didn't press her on depth. There is no depth with this woman. And let's face it, she's a radical liberal who's saying whatever she has to say to get elected. I got a lot of text messages that night that Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala Harris. Well, who cares, you might say, but she does have a lot of influence on young people. I want to say to you, Taylor Swift, you're a multi-millionaire. I don't know how rich you are, but you don't know how hard it is for the everyday people to buy groceries. What we spent 4 years ago doesn't even touch it today. Rents are out of control. The gasoline prices out of control. The inflation. And that inflation was done by candidate Kamala Harris. She was the tying vote for the inflation. They call it the Inflation Reduction Act. But every economist said, if you vote that in, we're definitely going to have inflation, but we may go into a recession. So Taylor Swift may feel good with Kamala's words. We have to be smarter than being influenced by emotion. We have to be influenced by acts and deeds. So please, people, do your homework. Getting back to the 9/11 ceremony, I want to share some pictures with you. Mayor Giuliani, obviously America's mayor, who spent all that time down at Ground Zero. He went there. He arrived right after the second plane hit, spent a lot of time down there that day trying to guide people to safety. The next day, following day, months after he was down there, as was volunteers, firefighters, crime investigators, FBI. The EPA at the time had said that it was pretty safe to go down there. Well, they were wrong. So a lot of people are still dying from 9/11 related issues. But I want to tell you something I observed. Mayor Giuliani still to this day makes the people feel good just with his presence. Just take a look at this video.
Ooh. Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time? And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows, only time? Who can say why your heart sighs as your love flies? Only time. And who can say why your heart cries when your love lies? Only Who can say when the roads meet that love might be in your heart? And who can say when the day sleeps if the night keeps all your heart?
That doesn't even capture how many people swarm this man wherever he goes. So the left-wing media always, what happened to America's mayor? He's more of a hero today for sticking up for you and me against the corruption in Washington. He took great risk to expose that laptop. He didn't want to. It was given to the FBI first. When he got it, he gave it to other agencies. They did nothing with it. And we had every right to know how corrupt then candidate Joe Biden was. But anyways, he's still a great man, a hero. Nothing happened to him. He's still strong. He's still great. He still is the people's mayor, just like President Trump is the people's president. But if you can help Mayor Rudy Giuliani out, they've used lawfare against him terribly. They took something so precious away from him for no reason, his law license. It was all a sham. They should be ashamed of themselves. But if you can, I know everybody's hurting, GiveSendGo.com/Rudy. GiveSendGo.com/Rudy. So I had my primaries in Manchester, New Hampshire, and that's what you see, my little city behind me. I'm very proud of Manchester. I'm very candid and I'm very open. So my candidate who I really, really wanted was Chuck Morse, and it was for a lot of reasons. I feel he's closest to the average person. His record in the Senate and as president of the Finance Committee, he is the one that made sure we had balanced budgets. He's the one that made sure we had a surplus. And he's a small businessman in Salem, New Hampshire. He got endorsements from every average person and almost everybody in the House and Senate. But he didn't have the money that outside money brought for other candidates. Kelly Ayotte did win for the Republican side. She is a former senator of New Hampshire, a former prosecutor. She is going to do a fine job, and I'll support her wholeheartedly. Her Democrat candidate is Joyce Craig, who was mayor of Manchester, New Hampshire, my pretty city that she almost ruined. All of a sudden, we had homeless camps. We had crime going up. She's a radical lefty. I cannot believe she's from New Hampshire because we don't think in those terms. We think about small government, law and order, minding your own business, keeping your head down, working. We have a very, very strong work ethic in New Hampshire. So Kelly Ayotte, however you pronounce it, I hope you take it all the way, because New Hampshire deserves to remain a conservative state. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when I come back, a special guest.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And to make matters worse, it's highly unlikely that your blood circulation will correct itself on its own, which means that your health issues will only continue to decline as you age. And popping ibuprofen isn't the solution to your pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Well, right now you can go to getkrill.com/Lindell to learn more and get a special free shipping offer just for being a listener of the show. New research proves that there's a potent deep-sea supernutrient tucked away 73 miles off the Antarctic coast, which is the hidden key to improving your blood circulation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic supernutrient to your diet. I do, and it is awesome. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. The omega-3 content from krill oil has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. The benefits go on and on and on and on. It can outperform name brand pain relievers, and it doesn't have the dangerous side effects of ibuprofen. Better yet, for a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for as low as $19 a bottle. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your very special offer.
You all know I stand by the truth, and if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee.
Hello, Mike Lindell here, and I'm welcoming you to the world of precious metals. Congratulations on taking that first step in getting your financial house in order. I think you're making a very smart decision with this, one that could protect not only you and your savings from an unstable world, but your family as well. So go ahead and fill in the information form on this page, and you're going to get a prompt phone call from one of Gold Coast's precious metal specialists. They're going to verify your information. Then you're going to get a free 2024 gold and silver kit sent directly to your doorstep. There's no shipping, no hassle, no nothing. Just a free information kit to help you learn more about the power of precious metals like gold and silver. I want you to do your own research like I did. You're going to be amazed about what precious metals can do for you. I'm excited to be partnering with Goldco. They're an amazing company with an impressive track record. And because you're a fan of mine, Goldco is also going to fill you in on details of how you can qualify for a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified orders. Plus a 1/2 ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin absolutely free for qualified callers. That's right, absolutely free. I mean, it's really a great offer. So congratulations again on taking the first step to protecting and diversifying your savings. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you again soon. God bless.
We're a community of proud, fearless patriots who aren't afraid of wearing our values on our sleeve. We are Honor Bound USA, and we proudly declare our declaration to God, family, and country. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Conservative Daily Podcast branded products, we have t-shirts to hoodies to beanies. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Explore our collection today, because when you're honor bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Welcome back. And as I promised, I have a special guest, Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Rudy, welcome back. You were here on Tuesday, and now you're back again today.
Well, I'm very appreciative that you are having me back. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We may have to recreate our hit radio show, Uncovering the Truth.
We might. I mean, we enjoyed it a lot, and we informed a lot of people, and you broke.
Yeah, I still get letters.
Pretty important news about the Wuhan laboratory. You're the first one to interview a Chinese person who told you that it came from the Wuhan laboratory, and everybody wanted to put us in jail. Remember?
So, Mayor Giuliani, I want you to take a look at this little clip on the Dr. Phil show.
You're telling me that DHS has acknowledged that Venezuela, for example, is emptying their prisons and their rehabilitation centers with the understanding you get out if you leave here and go to the United States?
Yes.
And DHS has, in writing, said, we know that's happening. We know they're coming here. We're processing them in and have no idea where they are.
Correct.
I find this so significant because during the debate, those DNC operatives, meaning the moderators, seem to really have a thing against President Trump, would fact check him, and as a matter of fact, fact check him incorrectly. Vice President Harris acted like a fool by making faces the whole time, but they didn't believe him when he said that Venezuela is emptying their prisons. And apparently there's a DHS document that confirms it.
Yeah, that's because they're, among other things, not only brainwashed and DNC operatives, they're also ignorant. This is precisely what communists do. This is what Castro did, and they learned it from Castro. You're talking to the person that had to deal with Mario Boatlift under Ronald Reagan. I was in charge of our defense against the Mario Boatlift, which we inherited from the feckless Jimmy Carter, who looks like George Washington compared to Harris and Biden. Maduro is just doing what he was taught to do, idiots. You think these people read? No. All they do is follow their Marxist training that they've all gotten, or the demands of their boss because they're sucking up to get higher jobs. And remember, the bosses here at ABC and Disney, they're close friends of the Harrises. I mean, Donald Trump is an extraordinarily brave man who's willing to debate anywhere, anytime, any place. But I'm telling you, if the referees are fixed, you can't win the game. If I get 7 points for a touchdown and you make the same touchdown and get 21 points, I don't care if I'm the best team in the world. I'm not going to beat you.
Well, prior to you coming on, I was talking about the Taylor Swift endorsement and how she has this big following. But I sent a message via my show to Taylor Swift. She is a multi-millionaire. She has no idea how much it costs for milk, for eggs, to feed a family. She does not relate. So Kamala saying some pretty words, yeah, she can vote on emotion. She can afford that. The rest of us can't afford to vote on emotion. We have to vote on facts and the way our life is today.
Well, Taylor Swift lives in a completely unreal Hollywood world, and that's where the left-wing, communist-leaning, if not communist Democrats live. So I mean, Well, last night was a completely staged performance by a very bad actress. Her clowning around while he was speaking was idiotic. If that were
It's
a
so
fair debate,
disrespectful.
if that were a fair debate, everybody in America would be saying, we don't want a teenage clown as president. I mean, she was laughing, making faces, going like this, going like that,
Yeah.
going like this. You know, it reminds me, every once in a while, I'd have a lawyer that really shouldn't be a trial lawyer, and they do that in court. The judges would throw him out of court and call me up and say, Mr. Giuliani, you really got to get rid of this guy. He's too damn immature. Sometimes lawyers would do that with juries. You know, they make faces at them. Well, those are the stupid, immature ones that don't have much of a career. Of course, she failed the bar exam, so that might explain it. I mean, it's remarkable what they've done with nothing. This is a nothing. Last night, I mean, even her statements, she never explained a policy. She just gave us these ridiculous goals that if you tried to reach them, you would bankrupt us even more than they're bankrupting us. No explanation how she'd pay for it. No explanation of how she would revive the economy. You got a man there who actually did revive our economy, did make it the best economy we've had in 50 years, and he went into detail about how he's going to do it. I mean, so they said he looked angry. I don't know if he looked angry, but he wasn't making stupid faces like a child. Well, why shouldn't he be angry if you call him a traitor or whatever the heck she called him, right?
Yeah, and calling him disgraceful. He loves the military. You know, and these are things I've heard from so many people. They felt like President Trump missed opportunities to call out her record. And I made the comment the night of the debate. It's almost like he thinks we already know all the issues. Well, some of us do because it's our job or we're interested in it. But there's a lot of people who get their information from TikTok or whatever social media. So they get the pretty little sound bites, or they get the Trump wants to, kill women, and they believe it. So he needed to take the time to explain a little bit more. But there's work to do. He should be our next president. He should be. Kamala Harris. President Trump was right when he said, "You are a Marxist." And I looked at her when he said it. She didn't seem all that shocked. She didn't. It almost seemed to me there was a look of pride there.
Yeah, I mean, you call me a Marxist, I'd go nuts on you. I mean, when they accused me of being a communist pawn for 17 months, I wanted to take their heads off. I hate communism. I spent my whole life fighting communism. I used to do affidavits against the Russian communists under the Justice Department and get them. I can tell you what I got them. But to me, that's a tremendous thing. I'm an American. I'm a loyal American. Communism wants to destroy America. Red China wants to destroy America. You're as stupid as the idiots in England with Hitler if you don't recognize that. And she's got a guy on her ticket who makes a really good imitation of a Chinese operative waltz. 30 years ago, he got trained there. 30 years he's been teaching there. You don't get to teach there 30 years in a row unless you're teaching communism. He wouldn't be alive. He wouldn't be here if he wasn't towing the communist line. They wouldn't have him back. And that maybe explains the stupid propaganda comments that he makes, like one man's socialism is another man's neighborliness. I mean, that's straight communist propaganda that you're taught to say, or you're stupid.
Yeah. Well, Mayor Giuliani, thank you, as always, for all your heroism,
you do a great job,
for
Dr.
your love of this country. I feel honored to know you, to work with you, and to have you on the Dr. Maria show.
Quite mutual, and you do a great job, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Well, when we come back, let's talk to the younger generation. They're the ones that are going to vote in this president. Let's face it. When we come back, Caitlin Sinclair from Turning Point USA.
Hello, Mike Lindell here, and I'm welcoming you to the world of precious metals. Congratulations on taking that first step in getting your financial house in order. I think you're making a very smart decision with this, one that could protect not only you and your savings from an unstable world, but your family as well. So go ahead and fill in the information form on this page, and you're going to get a prompt phone call from one of Goldco's precious metal specialists. They're going to verify your information. Then you're going to get a free 2024 gold and silver kit sent directly to your doorstep. There's no shipping, no hassle, no nothing. Just a free information kit to help you learn more about the power of precious metals like gold and silver. I want you to do your own research like I did. You're going to be amazed about what precious metals can do for you. I'm excited to be partnering with Goldco. They're an amazing company with an impressive track record. And because you're a fan of mine, Goldco is also going to fill you in on details of how you can qualify for a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified orders. Plus, a 1/2 ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin absolutely free for qualified callers. That's right, absolutely free. I mean, it's really a great offer. So congratulations again on taking the first step to protecting and diversifying your savings. Thanks for watching the show, and I'll see you again soon. God bless.
Exciting news to share with you today. Scientists recently discovered a well-known nutrient that dramatically reduces joint pain, fights inflammation, and improves your joint, heart, and brain health in as little as 7 days. The best part? Unlike ibuprofen and painkillers, this food has no side effects. In fact, just the opposite. It also protects your heart and helps prevent memory loss. Better yet, for a limited time, you can grab Native Path Inarctic Krill Oil for as low as $19 a bottle. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer for being a part of Lindell TV's audience. Learn more at getkrill.com/Lindell.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
We're a community of proud, fearless patriots who aren't afraid of wearing our values on our sleeve. We are Honor Bound USA, and we proudly declare our declaration to God, family, and country. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Conservative Daily Podcast branded products, we have t-shirts to hoodies to beanies. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Explore our collection today, because when you're honor bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
And we're back. I always want to know how the people feel, but we're not all cookie cutter people, right? We all have our own lives, prisms of how we look at life, at issues. As a former leader, hospital executive, I would teach my directors and my vice presidents underneath me about communication, that you can't just say something once and you can't always say it the same way, because I can have 5 people in a room and I can talk about an issue and how I think the goal should go, and I may get 5 different interpretations of what I said. So it's really important always to pull from others, but then say it back. Is this what you meant? Or this is what I heard. So I am curious about the younger generation. I really believe that they can sway an election. And they're not always as informed. And I don't mean this as anything about their intellect. I say that only because they may not have life experience. Whereas an older adult is out on their own, they have to pay their rent. You can vote at 18 years old now. You could still be living at home. So you don't know what it's like to pay the bills, especially if you have parents helping you out. So that's a little bit about my concern. But with me today is Caitlin Sinclair, spokeswoman for Turning Point USA. And she's a nice young lady. How are you, Caitlin?
What a lovely intro. So good to be here, Dr. Maria.
So, Caitlin, Taylor Swift has recently endorsed Kamala Harris. And I actually wrote Taylor. I talked to her earlier on my show, through my show. She'll never hear it. I'm sure she doesn't watch a show like mine. I don't know if she reads comments on her Twitter. I don't have Instagram. And I meant this very respectfully, but I don't think she should be giving anyone advice. She's a multi-millionaire. She lives on private jets. I am confident someone does her grocery shopping. She may have a driver, and I don't begrudge her that lifestyle. Not at all. More power to her for working hard and making a lot of money. But she can't relate to what the bulk of America is going through, having a hard time paying groceries, having a hard time with electricity and gas. And it's because of the policies of the Biden-Harris administration. I don't think she has the political savvy, meaning Taylor Swift, to identify that these bad things are happening because of bad policies. So, Caitlin, in your expertise, how do we get facts out to people? How do we reach people that they have a different side to look at and think about to make before they make decisions?
Well, first off, Dr. Maria, I don't think we can ignore the timing of this Taylor Swift endorsement for Kamala Harris, right? Right on the heels of last night's debate. That's when you know the Harris camp doesn't think their candidate did all that well. And then, of course, quickly agreeing to another debate. Suspicious on the timing there. But here's some Swiftie reminders for your viewers. Taylor Swift has built an entire career and empire based off making the wrong decision and choosing partners and men. And now she expects us to listen to her opinion on who to choose for the next president of the United States. Yeah, I don't think so. And you're absolutely right. This is a multi-millionaire who spends time traveling on her private jet, dating Mr. Pfizer over there. And I do not think that when Taylor Swift or her handlers go to the grocery store, they have to decide between getting what they need for the week in groceries or paying their mortgage. So it was just such an out of touch sentiment that we heard from the pop star last night. Now, as far as how we can reach the younger audience, and especially the women out there, because you see this huge gender divide right now when it comes to our two candidates, right? We have to have more conversations like this, because the left and Kamala Harris and the Democrats have done a really good job at playing into this gender divide. They love to divide us. The left loves to divide us based on gender, based on income, based on race, and they love that they're playing into the emotions of women. So we need to have a serious conversation with the females out there in this country. And I love to be a voice for Turning Point Action and be a female and be in the generation of the millennials and talk to Gen Zers, because we're the ones that want good for this country, right? We're the ones that are being most affected by all of these crises. There was a new Siena and New York Times poll that just came out this week that showed the most registered Democrats in this country right now are actually 65 years old and older. And the least registered Democrats are that age bracket of 18 to 29. So that does tell me there's hope. Yeah, new poll that just came out. Of course, when you break that down further, it shows that it's the men in this country. It's the millennial men. It's the Gen Z fraternity brothers that are coming out and reminding us what makes this country great. They're the ones that are staunch supporters of Donald Trump. But the women, of course, the left has played on our emotions. And they did it with the most, the issue of abortion. The issue that has divided us for decades. And they did this by design, of course. But unfortunately, this cannot be a single issue race. And I think we need to have these conversations with females and remind them that there's too much at stake in this election to vote based on gender or vote based on a single issue.
How do we do that, though, Caitlin? I know everybody talks, well, young people get their news, they get their information from social media. Is that the way? Do we try to get groups together on social media, or is it short ads, or how do we do it? We need some practical ways. We don't have much time left.
No, we're definitely running out of time, but here's how we do it, right? We have to remind people what the issues are. Abortion, when you break it down, is not the most important issue to females. No one is coming for our reproductive rights, ladies. But you know what does affect females? Is the crime issue, is the safety issue. We remind people, put out those names on social media once a week. Lake and Riley, Molly Tibbetts, Rachel Morin. What happened to those females? They were all murdered by illegal immigrants that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden let into this country. We remind them what's happening in women's spaces, how men are invading our spaces. Once a week, put out a story about what's happening on college campuses, what's happening in the sports industry with men taking over women's sports. That's the message, and that's how we get women in this country to focus more on more than one issue, not voting on a single issue, which again, the left is playing into. They're exploiting our emotional stance because women, as we all know, we tend to vote based on emotion.
I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but I've been talking about, and so hasn't a lot of people, been talking about the war on women and the war on children ever since the Biden-Harris administration took over, that men can come in our little girls' locker rooms and all this transgender stuff for minors. And either people are being quiet of how disgusted they are with it, or they're going along with it, or it's being censored. We all know that Twitter at one time was censored, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and there's probably still censoring going on. So I want to seem hopeful. And I'm a teacher by heart. I think as a provider, medical provider, we like to teach our patients. And I just want to find a way to give people information, not tell them what to do, but give them factual information that they can say, I think I was snowed here. Let me look into this a little bit more. I do advise people not to use Google because Google is an arm of the radical left. Just, I'll put a challenge out there. Go on Google and do any subject. You will never see Newsmax come up. You will never see Breitbart come up. Gateway Pundit. You'll never see any of those. The Federalist. So I use DuckDuckGo, and I'm sure there's others just like DuckDuckGo. But we need to start using our economic dollars to tell people no more. You're not going to censor me. So I don't know.
I think there's a way to combat it. I do. This election is an election about the forgotten American, right? It's about the average Americans out there, your average woman. And so what we're doing at Turning Point Action is we're having these conversations on the ground. We are recruiting activists to to start these conversations in their community. And you're absolutely right. It's all about making sure that your average American, your average female voter has the right information, that they actually understand what Kamala Harris's policy is on genital mutilation of our children, of taxpayers paying for genital mutilation and gender transition surgeries for illegal immigrants. It's actually making sure that the female voter in this country understands Donald Trump's vision, agenda, and plan. And you know what, Dr. Maria? The truth is the left wants you to believe that this is an election about gender, but it is not. And we need all the females in this country to understand that this is an election about love of country. This is an election about God, about the family unit. And I think we are running out of time, but there is still enough time to remind people that this is an election about safety and security and restoring the American dream. And if we can get that message across, then it is not too late.
You know, Caitlin, I'm so glad you're with Turning Point in reaching out to the young people. We've seen censorship on the college campuses. I know that's a future thing that you're going to be doing. But my understanding is that Turning Point does try to get on the campuses. They're just not always accepted by the administration. Is that
Absolutely.
correct? Yeah.
Yes. Well, of course, Charlie Kirk's been doing this for years, and we're really excited over at the C4 side, Turning Point Action, to be a part of that this fall. And that's announcements to come. So stay tuned for that. But of course, the college campuses are a huge proponent and a huge aspect of how we tackle the wrong narratives and the certain rhetoric and all the indoctrination that's happening, and just get the right messaging out there. And again, just starting these conversations, right? You are so moldable when you're at that age, when you're a college student, and look at what's happening to our college students across the country right now. There is an overwhelming sense of hopelessness that is existing for the Gen Z generation and these young folks. And so with that sense of hopelessness, what's happening? Well, you have more and more young people that are wanting to just feel like they belong. So they're joining these groups, they're attending these pro-Hamas protests, and they don't even know why they're there or what they stand for. They are just longing to be a part of something. And then topple that with the many different vices that all of these young people are relying on, like porn, like vapes, for example, like these meaningless hookups, and all of the hookup culture that exists on these college campuses. We need to remind people what made this country great, and that was instilling faith in God. We want to bring that back to college campuses, having discourse, having arguments that are polite and civil, and teaching these young students that you can still love your neighbor, you can still love your peer or colleague if you disagree. And that is exactly what we're doing at Turning Point. And again, I'm so excited to be part of these college campus conversations.
You know, I think you hit on something very important, and that's mental health. I've never seen so much diagnosis of depression and anxiety. And it seems weird to hear me say under the Biden-Harris administration, but it has peaked. I will give some of it to the pandemic and the isolation people felt during the pandemic, but I have to go back then and blame the Biden-Harris administration and those left-wing governors who told people they can't go to their family. I think it was in Minnesota, Governor Walz said you can have 4, and it could be more, could be 5, but 5 people at Thanksgiving. And they encouraged neighbors to tell on neighbors if they saw more than 5 family members gathered. I had a board member that was from Vermont, and because I was right on the border, my hospital, New Hampshire, Vermont, and he had a son visiting from California. He kept him outside like in a tent. I'm like, you're kidding. There's so much misinformation and fear that happened during that pandemic in isolation, but it was the wrong decisions, the wrong leadership. But mental health issues, and I think you're right, with the advent of social media and everything being done on the darn phone instead of face to face and having conversations, you're right. The young people, all people may be just yearning to connect and connect in a positive way. And I like the thought of God, although I'm not going to force God on everybody. It could be just fellowship of a neighbor. But we have to get back to those old-fashioned values.
old-fashioned values, and it's so interesting to sit back right now and look. You remember those fraternity brothers at UNC Chapel Hill proudly and patriotically holding up the American flag that day when a group of crazies, a mob, I should say, was trying to take down the flag. And I hate to say it, but it really is going to be the fraternity brothers right now and the males of this country that are maybe meant to remind the females, meant to remind the rest of this country, hey, these are the values, these are the principles that made this country prosperous before, and we need to bring these back. We need to bring back the family unit. We need to bring back dinner table conversations, right? When people ask me, Dr. Maria, what the biggest issue in this country is right now, believe it or not, I don't say Joe Biden, I don't say Kamala Harris, I don't even say the migrant problem. I think it is fatherless households. And having these types of conversations, having the conversation about mental health and what's missing in this country and why our young people are suffering and what we're hearing and the fatherless households, the lack of the family unit, all of this, I think, is by design by the left because they wanted us divided. They wanted us to have broken families because, of course, that's easier to push narratives. It's easier to push the fear mongering during the pandemic and everything else that we've seen. But the young people, they're fed up and they're actually waking up. And that's where the left is getting really scared. You look at the Democrats, they thought they had the Gen Z vote in the bag. They thought they didn't have to worry. They thought that paying for rappers to come twerk at their rallies was the way they were going to attract these Gen Zers. Well, we have a message for Kamala Harris in camp. That's not going to work. I think she did fall from the coconut tree yesterday because that is not how you're going to attract the young people in this country who desperately are longing for the America First agenda.
She came to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and there's too many credible witnesses who said they had 4 busloads of people that came in from Massachusetts to stand all around her. I find that pathetic. I really do. I'd rather stand alone than try to fake propaganda, but it's just crazy. But you have a lot of wonderful things to say and you're doing great things, Caitlin. I'm so happy that you joined me this afternoon. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you for having me.
So I want to remind the audience that I do have an email address just for you. It is DrMaria@frankspeech.com. I've gotten several letters of very nice letters that people like the show, like the format, but I'm very flexible. In business, I'm extremely flexible. It's so funny. In church, I'm not. Like going to communion, I only go to a priest. And so I have my things in church that I don't budge on. But certainly with business and with the show, I can be very flexible. But keep those letters coming. Please let me know of good deeds, either yourself, a neighbor, somebody in your community. I'd love to highlight the good things we are all doing. We are a great nation. Go back and read the Constitution. Even go before that. Read that Declaration of Independence. Read our Bill of Rights. We're meant to be a small federal government, strong states, and an independent, free-thinking people. And remember, the people in office work for us, and it hasn't been that way in a long time. And it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of bravery to get it back. Can you imagine the people right now in Congress and the Senate voting in term limits? I know I would, because I know my character. I know in a heartbeat I would. But the people who have become millionaires in office, which is suspect, by the way, they're not going to vote themselves in term limits. So I don't know how we, the people, can enforce that. It's always trying new people, letting them know that this is important to you, that there are term limits, and then fire them if they don't do it. We have the power. I do believe there's cheating going on. I believe there's been cheating in our elections probably since inception. We need to get better. We need to ensure that your vote matters, that my vote matters. But by ignoring it and ignoring what happened in 2020 does not help anybody. It's not trying to relive it. Nothing's going to change. Biden's still president. He still got put into office, was sworn into office. That's not the point. The point is to uncover what went wrong and safeguard our elections for the future. I like to see things that plainly because it can, if we have practical people making the decisions, we're going to be a better society for it. And isn't that what we want? This is the first generation where our children aren't going to do better than us, right? Haven't you heard that before? That in America, every single generation did better than their parents, further degrees, made a better living, where it was able to own a home. Not happening for this generation. And they deserve it. But they need to do the work too. They need to be hard workers. So thank you for joining me. I will see you next Tuesday. Have a great weekend.